Here we are by the Clyde Ironworks, the continuation of my 30-day series about trying to apply psychological principles to improve my life. And then I guess what it turned out mostly to be, a lot of it was just like using those principles to kind of like talk about a certain subject maybe, which is fine too. I mean, I consider that to be like, you know, legitimate, even if somehow it's a little oversold, like they click on, it looks like this really nice, obviously this nice like thumbnail, think it's gonna be some intense thing, and it's more like this guy frantically going away on his keyboard, but I mean not his notebook. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know if you haven't hung, if you actually, okay, I gotta say something real quick to keep people from hanging up in 1 second, so which they always do. So anyway, so but I guess I'm gonna just do a really easy one just to continue it, because they're not gonna always be very, but you know, so a lot of times it's just a token one I'm gonna do real quick, but you know. All right, so anyway, yeah, so I have to admit, things in the 30-day thing, it kind of got a little screwed up, and I kind of broke the rules on it, but I'm going to just, you know, keep going on it the best I can. And I figure, you know, even if, since no one's even watching these videos hardly, but I might as well just, you know, I said I'm going to do this, and so I'll go ahead and, you know, finish it the best I can, you know, to, you know, if just for myself, or maybe in the future, maybe some people will watch some of these videos, or maybe, you know, I'll come up with a better version of the same ideas later on. So anyway, so I have to admit that I'm kind of like, the thing actually got like, it was supposed to be like 30 continuous days, and it did get kind of paused a little bit, but now I'm back doing it again. I don't know if it did get paused for like 3 days. Well, basically what happened is me and my friend went on that trip down in southern Minnesota, and it was good and everything. But during that, like for example, the first night we were having some problems with the movies in the yeah, I think a couple nights we were actually having problems with like the cable not really working or whatever, you know, that we're supposed, and I maybe didn't feel like having to go deal with the deal with the front desk and everything. And I just, okay, I just watched my okay, I'm kind of making that kind of long, but basically I was just kind of busy on this trip. And then also, so I was real busy on this trip with Patrick for like 3 days. And then anyway, and then also the other thing that was going on is that I was trying to make all these videos really simple and unedited, but then we did this Laura Ingalls Wilder tour, and then I ended up realizing as I did it, you know, I got stuck in the trap, especially because this is a more topical thing of actually putting a lot of like editing into it, having a really hard time. And anyway, so when I was, each one of these videos was just supposed to be like a simple thing that maybe I just clipped a couple things together, did my notebook, and not maybe put a few little like animation, but not animations, put a few little like pictures in that they're easy. So anyway, so here we are. So this is the Clyde Ironworks. You can see there, it's the big pile of iron. Well, that's kind of a coincidence. That's not why this is called the Ironworks. That's the big iron ore thing. But they used to make some kind of like iron stuff at this Clyde Ironworks. Okay, well, it is real close to that, so I guess it had to do with it. But anyway, not that, I mean, anyway. So the exact details of how that worked, but that is being used now a lot for its purpose. That's taconite, which came down actually from that same area I was at the beginning of this series up in Hibbing. So basically what I was trying to do is, okay, so the idea is like, okay, you know, get motivated, all this kind of stuff, motivational video for myself. It's something to get stuff moving and actually create like a little bit of an arc to where it's not just like a random video every once in a while, you know. And yeah, I guess there hasn't actually been that much arc to it, because I haven't really been given like a progress report. But anyway, but at least I am going on this. And all right, so basically my idea was like, okay, I was like, you know, because for some reason a couple years ago I kind of was interested in Jungian psychology, and I think like it, and I know maybe I mentioned it too much on here, but it just became like a thing where it seems like it's a good theory for kind of like putting a whole lot of things together, you know. So I kind of added that to my idea of doing stuff about van life and other stuff I like to do, like talk about like geology, history, maps, all this kind of stuff. I mean, I have a very wide range of subjects that I talk about, and it's probably a little too much for some, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get it to where, you know, everything's stable, where I have kind of like a core group of people who are interested or something like that. I mean, not that I'm expected to be that big, but it's like, you know, but, you know, yeah, you know, something like that, you know, where I'm somehow, you know, I can't just, you know, I don't want to just do like a basic like van life channel where just like, hey, look at my dog, look at this. I mean, I'll do those kind of videos, but I mean, I wanted to have kind of like a bigger theme in there too, you know. So that's why. So maybe it's kind of going overboard. Maybe there's not really this big group of people out there thinking, oh, I'm interested in how like Jungian psychology fits with Shakespeare, music, or geology, or these other things I came up with. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I thought just because I was the first one on YouTube seeming to do that meant I was going to get some views, but But anyway, by the way, that's Highway 35 passing up there in case I didn't mention that. Anyway, so all right, so I thought like, okay, what am I going to do? I decided to do things on this, mostly on this notebook type thing, where I was going to, make it easy, not a bunch of graphics and stuff. I mean, I made one big graphic thing in this note of mind map, but it was more like an intro video, so I spent more time on that intro video to, because I figured that was going to be like something I spent more time on, and the rest of them would just be kind of using that template and making it go quicker, so yeah, and it is pretty hard. I mean, for the people who do a video every day, like some of the former people or whatever, it's actually pretty tough to do, even if it's a real simple video. It's like, but anyway, and especially if you don't have like, you feel like there might be some people who thought to do like a video every day, they almost had to move someplace like LA or something, like, someplace where they could just like, every day there was something to look at, and just, and anyway, so, but I just agreed to do this every day for just a month because I knew that was probably the only sustainable thing. And you saw that it's already wasn't that sustainable, and I'm still going to try to finish it to the best I can. So anyway, so I went up to Hibbing, Minnesota, and I think okay, so the reason I picked that spot is that day it was actually cold in Duluth. It was still kind of early in the year, and there was also like a big jump before when I made that first video, and I actually started making these too. So unfortunately, a lot of this stuff didn't, anyway, but at least in spirit, I finished the best I could. So I went up to Hibbing, Minnesota, because that was someplace a little bit inland from Duluth, and because it was away from the lake, it was actually warm, and I was looking for some warm weather that day. And plus, I hadn't been up there for a while, so it kind of, felt like a good little change going up there. And it was someplace me and my dad used to go, before he passed away. So it's like, Bob Dylan's home, and there's also an iron mine there. So anyway, so I went up there, and I decided like, okay. And I guess I was talking to the AI a little bit, like while I was driving, like I always do, but most of the ideas I think was mine, but it was just like I said, like, okay, I was thinking about what are the 4 main spots in Hibbing, okay, that I know about that I like going to, and it's okay. There's of course, the mine view, of course, and then there's the North Hibbing, like the old part of the town. I found it to be always like a nice, like peaceful kind of grove area there, like that, which I was calling that. I was calling it like the Hibbing Ghost Town or whatever, but that was me referring to that. And then the other place was the Greyhound Station, I guess, just because it's one of the other things it's known for. And then also, of course, Bob Dylan's childhood home is there. And I came up with this idea where I was like, oh, how does that fit? And I thought like, okay, like, oh, like, so quickly, because I had put a lot of emphasis in abstraction and empathy, and I quickly understood, you could fit it into, say, the ore pit matches that. Okay, the idea of mostly of abstraction. It's something really big and overwhelming, but also because of abstraction, because you would use abstraction to try to analyze something like that big, So that's, and then I said, okay, then think about the Greyhound Station. It's like flowing into the world. Okay, so it's like that's the other opposite thing about in aesthetics, and also just in assimilating the world according to Jungian psychology is you either abstract stuff or you flow into it. So anyway, and then I said. And then the other one, was I said the ghost town. I ended up saying, like, because I was thinking about that being a place where there was like wind going through there, but it was like, at least that day it felt really good through there, and it's nice and shady. So I had the idea of like kind of like a place where wind circulates, and kind of like well, basically I think I basically was using the idea. Sometimes I was saying it represents the unconscious, which sometimes it is, but mostly I guess lately I've just been saying it's the archetype, it's home. The archetype of home, which is kind of like the same as the archetype of the mother archetype, and that sort of thing. And then I had like that Bob Dylan thing represent archetypes in general, even though I guess technically the mother would be part of that. I figured the mother one was such a big part of that I just have it be separate. I mean, I guess I could have like split things up into like the main archetypes, like something. Anyway, there's lots of ways that you could split stuff up psychologically using those principles, but this one seemed to work well. Now, what's my justification for doing this sort of thing? Well, just according to Jungian psychology. Well, in Jungian psychology, he talks a lot about stuff like dreams and your unconscious talking to you and having kind of like trying to give you messages and stuff. So if I think about, and one of the other ways is active imagination, drawing things, that sort of thing. And, so I just had a basic idea that like, and maybe there's no justification for this, that, that, okay, if I kind of like look for these things and found these 4 things, that I would come up with like, 4 things that would help me point me in the right direction on how to direct my thoughts and analyzing my activities and stuff. And you know, it just turned out they actually worked quite well. And like I said, there might be other ones I could have come up with that would have worked. There might have been a different way of dividing it, but you know, like I said, like you could just, it was a little bit arbitrary taking the mother archetype out from like the rest of them, but you know, separating. But yeah, it worked fine. And then I called it the Hibbing Quaternity. And then I guess mostly what I've done is, okay, I did use it a few times when I tried to do my activities and talked about some stuff like some gardening, and I was working on some sailing. Haven't actually got the sailboat going yet, but I have to do some stuff. And then, well, anyway, I guess what it mostly turned out to be is a thing where I've been just using it to talk about different subjects, and maybe that's what I'll be doing more in the future. Maybe I'll come up with, maybe it won't even be this Hibbing Quaternity anymore. It'll be some other thing. So basically, it's just like this little chart to kind of like, okay, all right, how am I going to analyze my day today? Let's look at the Hibbing Quaternity. You know, it's just a simple, and I tried to make it a little more simple as I went on, but you know, but the idea, so we'll see. So I'm going to go still try to get some activities going. Like I hope I can get my sailboat going. Unfortunately, I wanted to really like finish like trying to find that mooring like on Tuesday and Wednesday when I was off work, but then I ended up spending like 2 days trying to edit that stupid video. I mean, it's just, oh man, because I just kept having so many problems. It was a whole sunk cost fallacy. I don't know. It's just like, and then I don't know, stuff like I wanted to go to the coffee shop, but then I couldn't. It was too hot to take my dog. I think I would have worked faster at the coffee shop. You know, it would have been anyway. So yeah, so that's about it. I guess I'm not going to go too much. You can watch the videos and see exactly how I applied the things. But yeah, that's basically it. You know, just a general idea. And maybe it might sound stupid that you can kind of like, if you decide to like, you know, energize yourself or cause yourself to like, you know, direct your thoughts in a certain way. Like, you know, I'll have to maybe come up with another example later. I don't know. Maybe I got lucky and just really worked out well this time. But it seemed like, yeah, it almost worked out perfect, because just to review what it was, it's like, yeah, so I could refer something like, okay, do I like doing some activity because there's lots of equations and maps and diagrams involved? That might be one part of enjoying something, you know, enjoying the symmetry, the logic of it, that sort of thing. Or can I enjoy the flow of it, like, you know, like a flowing landscape, or maybe kind of flowing into even like a story, something that's not even real or something like that, and then flowing into the world, into the idea, and then the one I had about then the home archetype or the mother archetype, which is about the same thing. So it's a place where you feel like enclosed and you feel like connected and that sort of thing. Those type of places you can. So when you're doing one of those, maybe if there's an activity that kind of gives you that feeling, you can mention that as well. You know, I mean, it's kind of a free association. I know it might sound a little bit like, you know, crap as far as, oh, you can just pretty much make anything, and I guess it is almost sort of true, but it's, you know, but obviously we're not doing any like high stakes thing. I'm not like trying to build that bridge by, you know, trying to correctly apply like the sailor archetype to those panel, you know. So I mean, but I think there is, you know, a good justification for doing this kind of stuff, you know, that as far as, you know, and I guess you just have to see, just like if people think that they're changing stuff in their life based on dreams, I guess it takes a while for them to really know, like, you know, what's going on. So anyway, so yeah, I just made this was just a quick video I can make today, so it's just like single take. I may not even cut anything out of it. We'll see, you know what I mean. Gotta always listen to it a little bit just to see if I said something really stupid that I might need to cut out, you know, that I'm like, oh shoot, you know. And then anyway, so yeah, so here, kind of like this is where the stuff from the Hibbing Quaternity comes down here from Hibbing, come from that ore mine. Well, actually, I think I found out maybe it doesn't go to this facility, it goes to the one in Superior, but you know, okay, close enough. It's the Iron Range, that whole area near Hibbing. So all right, so this 30-day YouTube mini-series is a psychological experiment using Jungian psychology to live better and experience more this summer. I'm not a psychologist, just a layman looking to apply Jungian principles to life. I'm starting with the idea that the unconscious mind is very smart and tells us things. And believing in this, I drove up to Hibbing, Minnesota, and I found that 4 locations in Hibbing, Minnesota corresponded quite well to 4 different principles called the Hibbing Quaternity. The first one is the Hibbing Ghost Town, which the characteristics is you feel the echo of the past as the wind flows down established paths. This represents unconscious voice being in the center of a moving circle, the mother archetype, home, center, castle, etc. Character I'm coming up with here to explain it is Nellie, the ghost sheepdog mom who circles the area, protects and guides. The Greyhound Museum has to do with travel and also the Jungian idea of beauty as a way of mentally feeling your way into physical objects and flowing into life in general, flowing beauty, mentally becoming part of the object. The character here I'm coming up with is Flows With It, which is a Native American cartoon character who has a magic canoe, finds all paths, glides over, portage just flows into life. Now the ore pit, it represents all the smallness of the individual, abstraction, and the way to in making the world simpler, more understandable. Actions, the beauty of symmetry, the beauty of maps, beauty of mathematics. And this is supposed to be Laser Nash. Doesn't look like him that much, but anyway, it's like John Nash with his cup sending out all these laser beams across, dividing the world, trying to find that order in the chaos from A Beautiful Mind, if you haven't seen that movie. Bob Dylan's Home, it represents stories, archetypes, wishing to become someone else. DJ Hat Trick, what he does is he gets people into the groove by putting different hats on and sending people into different paths. It's sort of like the way we do whenever we listen to a song, for example. Here's a simplified view of the quaternity here that I'm going to be using for this 30-day adventure. And this is what it's going to more look like. I'm just going to do a simple sketch that I'll put in the video and then just kind of explain it like on a notepad like this to make it simpler so I can get it done. So I can do a video for 30 days. And so subscribe to get all 30 of those videos.